I am going to talk about civic imagination's very central role in K-8 computing education in Kentucky, Appalachia. We have a 6-year education research project and education design project funded by the National Science Foundation. We are in year 4. The first 3 years it was called Tough as Nails, and the second 3 years is called Drawing on Kinship. And a key goal of these 2 projects has been to understand how computing and principles important to computing, like computational thinking, can be taught in elementary and middle school schools in Eastern Kentucky in ways that are responsive to local culture and values. This project is an ever-expanding partnership. The organizers are shown here and come from Floyd County Schools, Pikeville Independent School District, software developer development startup BitSource, and those are all located in Eastern Kentucky, as well as partner in Throughline's EDU in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, as well as Digital Promise, where I am from. Just a few photos of our beautiful setting in Eastern Kentucky, in case some of you have not visited yet. We have Floyd County Schools that have about 55 students district-wide and 8 schools at the K-8 level that we're working with. Pikeville has about 1,200 students in their elementary and high school. And these are some computing-related initiatives at Pikeville Independent at the elementary level, and then these are some images from Floyd County Schools and their computing initiatives. And as background, oops, what did I do? Did I push the wrong button? Oop, it's back. I think I pushed the wrong button, but now we're back. As background, computing education is a statewide focus in Kentucky. And the left side, the 7 big ideas of technology, those are the technology standards that every student is supposed to meet. So it is no longer just about keyboarding and using Microsoft Excel. And then the right side is elective, but if you are taking computer science, there are standards for that as well. And those are fairly recent, within the past 3 years or so, 3 to 5 years. Our why for the project focuses not just on teaching essential skills that undergird computing, which we call computational thinking, but whether and how we can relate that to maker, tinker, innovator, problem solver heritage that exists in Eastern Kentucky. We hypothesize that highlighting the connections will support students more holistically and more powerfully, and might even have some positive ripple effects beyond just the students to maybe the parents or community. So this project is not just a computing education project. More fundamentally, it's a project that works towards a future of Eastern Kentucky and aligned with the guiding principles of civic imagination. Sam Ford summarizes the core insight of civic imagination in 3 really helpful sentences, so I have stolen and adapted those for this presentation. I changed the people to educators in each time, but that's what the asterisk is about. I'm taking Sam's words. But 20 years ago or so, the 3 types of futures that teachers often imagined for their students were teacher, miner, nurse. And this first key idea of civic imagination says that educators must have a concrete view of the future in order for them to work towards it. So what might be their vision of the future today in 2023 and beyond? Fortunately, there was already work happening at the, in regards to envisioning futures, particularly among local business leaders, and some you will hear from tomorrow and are in this room today. BitSource and Shaping Our Appalachian Region, among others, were spearheading economic revitalization efforts. Of course, the education and the business communities tend to be siloed in most places. And so to help K-8 teachers envision a shared future alongside the business community, we've so far taken 4 different types of activities. So talks and field trips to familiarize teachers with local innovators and have them imagine something different than what they used to imagine in terms of futures for their students. And then a civic imagination workshop this February where Sam, Sangeeta, and Mary, who you'll hear from right after me, and others helped teachers tap into the ingenuity of their family members and imagine how those might translate into their students' futures. Also, we found teachers can get a very powerful image of the future when they witness students like eighth grader Coleman Howard to the bottom right, who impressively connected and engaged with a BitSource software developer doing our teacher training this summer. When you see that students are doing amazing things that seem to connect to the future, that gives, I think, teachers an idea of, oh, maybe the future is like this or like this. Civic imagination tells us that it's not enough just to imagine a future, that educators have to see themselves as part of the future. So our project has tried to support this mainly in 2 ways. First is through hands-on project-based trainings on computational thinking that's very, very teacher-friendly, and where teachers can start to see themselves teaching it. And we were, for the first year, very, very blessed to have some STEAM teachers from Pittsburgh who were very, very good at this, and they have been working on crafting these kinds of lessons for almost 10 years at that time, and they taught our teachers in Eastern Kentucky, and the surveys were always really good. Wow, this is the most relevant, professional development I've had. I can see myself teaching this to my students. So that is one way. The second way is having folks from local industries explain how computing-related skills are important in their sector of innovation, and telling teachers or having conversations with K-8 teachers what they are doing in the classroom is very important and can play a role. And some quotes from the surveys are there that illustrates a little bit how teachers were gaining some new insight about their role in the future. Third, educators need to feel a sense of agency or permission to help shape that future, as we have been hearing. We are happy to report that there is a lot of agency to go around with regards to computational thinking education and in Eastern Kentucky, and these are some example quotes that show how educators, both teachers and administrators, appear to have agency to shape their students' futures. And this is another example. There's no need to try to read the small font on the bottom, but these graphs are teacher survey responses from 2022 that shows that the teachers, 23 teachers who responded to the survey, no longer perceive barriers to integrating computational thinking into their classroom, whereas this was not the case when they entered into the project. And so how did this feeling of that agency get developed? I was thinking about that, and we think these are some examples of how our project at least tried to foster a sense of agency or permission. I think we did this really by creating multiple low-risk, potentially high-reward opportunities where educators' perceptions really matter, that it is important to have educators at the table, and then having a big emphasis that we are doing this together. None of us has the answer. We say to teachers and to each other all the time as the organizing team, we are working towards a shared future, shared vision with all of us in it. We don't know what the answer is, but we can try to find out together, and let's start with what we think might be good in a small way and build on that. And so we started with micro lesson implementations, maybe 1 class period to 2 class periods of something that someone has already developed. And then some teachers were comfortable enough to present their work at conferences. And then now we have about 20, almost 20 teachers working on much more complex projects that are about project-based learning that include heritage and computational thinking and storytelling. That's very, very hard to develop. And then we are also very proud to say that this summer, for the first time, we had 2 Eastern Kentucky teachers that have been with us for a while shift from being the learner to the trainer, and so now they have trained 15 teachers, both from within their district and also from neighboring districts in Eastern Kentucky, on about what they've learned from the Pittsburgh teachers. So civic imagination will continue to guide computing education in Eastern Kentucky. We have some exciting next steps and a lot of work ahead of us, but we are happy to be moving on. And thank you for listening.